on, y'all? It's your boy Dennis with the Used Bike Spotlight, but today we're going to do something a little bit different, okay? What we're going to do today is we're going to look at the evolution of the Roadglide, and we're going to check out the birth of the new Roadthug, which is a performance bagger come out recently from Southern Gold Motorsports. These guys are really doing a hell of a piece, and it's turning a lot of heads right now, but we're going to focus on this bike all the way throughout, from soup to nuts, so to speak, is what my old bosses used to say. So guys, hold on and let's check this thing out, shall we? The Roadglide's been around forever with Harley-Davidson. They've always been known for the shark nose fairing, or the fixed fairing system that goes on top of the touring class. A lot of people, whenever they look at bikes, they'll see the batwing fairing and compare it to the shark nose, and a lot of people actually make the mistake of thinking that the shark nose is more iconic or more old school. Strangely enough, the Roadglide heralds back all the way back to the Duo Glide back in the day. So one of the fixed fairings, the first fairings that came out from Harley-Davidson was actually more of a fixed fairing, not like the batwing that you see on like the Street Glides and the Ultra Classics. But you know, that's one of the secrets behind the Roadglide. Everybody who out there knows the Roadglide, the Street Glide, the Road King, the Ultra Classic, the Ultra Limited, these are all the same basic motorcycle. They've got the same frame, same swing arm. The only thing different between these machines is going to be suspension, bubblegum as far as, you know, dressings, and the fairing. Okay, the shark nose fairing as opposed to the batwing fairing is going to make a huge difference in handling, in wind buffering, in unsprung weight, and well, just overall style and points. A perfect analogy for the Roadglide. Back in 2006, whenever I was wet behind the ears and just got started off in this industry, the manager I was working for at the time, Brett, great guy, gave me my first opportunity in this industry. Thanks, Brett. Every time we'd start talking about bikes, he was always talking about every chopper that he built. He was a West Coast guy from California, so you know he's always into choppers and things like that. And like I said, this is back in 2006, so that was what was really popular. And finally, we got to go meet up one day and go for a ride together. And when we did, he pulled up in a plain Jane black Roadglide. I'm like, dude, what the hell? Where's the chopper? And he goes, man, pay attention. He goes, every one of those stories ended with my bike getting stolen. And he goes, after the last one got stolen, I got tired of spending the money and the time. He goes, I went to the shop that I was working at, and I said, what's the most undesirable Harley that you got? And they said, Roadglide. And he goes, well, I'll take it. You know, he wanted something that he didn't have to worry about getting stolen. He went out and he got on that Roadglide, and he said it was probably the best riding motorcycle he'd ever been on. And it's the only thing he would ride ever since. We were out riding, and he forced me to actually take his bike for one of the legs of the run, and I gotta admit, I was super impressed. And I'm a Dyna guy, always have been, probably always will be, not really big on fairings, but man, the way that the shark nose fairing changes the wind, okay, whether it's for a driver or a passenger, it makes a huge difference in ride quality. Better for stereo. Those of us that wear glasses, you're going to notice that you're going to get a hell of a lot less buffering off of the shark nose fairing than you do the batwing. I mean, that's always been a problem with me, is, you know, I go down the road and then my glasses are just vibrating like nobody's business whenever I'm trying to see. On the shark nose fairing, I don't have that issue like I would on the batwing, so it's a little bit more comfortable. Plus the bubble. I don't know if anybody's ever explained to you the bubble, but let me show you something. Now, there's a big difference in wind direction whenever it comes between the batwing and the shark nose style fairing, but what a lot of us don't take into consideration is how that wind affects the passenger. Strangely enough, this is something that I learned from my mother, okay? Most of you guys aren't fortunate enough to have a mother that was in the industry, but my mom rode for years. And I took her out for a ride on a bagger, you know, batwing style Ultra Limited one day, and she wasn't a fan. I was like, what the hell? And she's like, well, obviously you've never ridden back there. And she described to me how the wind of the batwing fairing meets right there on the passenger and gives them the static wind, pushing them sort of back and forth. And most passengers haven't been in the driver's seat, so they're not really aware of what they're getting beat by. My mother, on the other hand, who was an experienced rider, was able to give me some feedback. So I started talking to other people about that, and with the Roadglide passengers, they did not have that same problem, okay? And what I've found through personal research, I mean, I can't say there's any documented stuff on this to prove it, but with the batwing style fairing, the wind comes over and it wraps around and it hits pretty much right there on your passenger. But whenever you're dealing with the shark nose fairing, it's gonna be a little bit different. But it's drastically different when you do it on a shark nose as opposed to the batwing. With the shark nose fairing, the fairing's actually positioned a little bit further out. It's not mounted directly square up on your face. So that's something some people like, some people don't like about it. I'm a shorter guy, about 5'6", 5'8", on a really, really lucky day with high heels on, and I like the fairing being a little bit further away. Usually much taller people will like that too. It's not so cramped up right there on your face. But you'll notice that fairing being further away does affect the air bubble for the passenger. Okay, so the fairing out here is going to come back, and now granted, not a shorty little windshield like this. You're going to have a good shield to really get the benefits for a passenger, but with a windshield, with a bigger windshield, that bubble's going to come around and meet right about the back side of the passenger, so they can actually get into the bubble a little bit, maybe hear a little bit of the stereo, maybe not get hit by every June bug going down the road, and allow them to enjoy the ride a little bit more. Now that iconic shark nose style fairing has gone back for so long. I'm not going to beat a dead horse and go back any further than this fairing here. I know it went through a couple of minor reconfigurations, but for the most part, this is about how the standard fairing went. Now this year is 2013. Okay, this is the last year that they produced that standard Roadglide style fairing. Okay, and as somebody who was in the industry, it was actually something that was really weird because Harley-Davidson advertised the fact that they were pulling the Roadglide off of the market in 2014. Okay, 2014 is whenever they hit with the Rushmore project and they redesigned the Batwing style fairing, and a lot of people thought that they were going to drop the Roadglide all the way entirely, but Harley told everybody, don't worry, we're going to bring it back out. We're just going to take it off the market for a year and redesign it. Well, the Roadglides were never the most popular bike on the market, but the people who ride Roadglides are very, very dedicated to them. And every time a Roadglide rider walked into a dealership, they would look at, the salespeople would look at me like, hey, did you hear about the discontinuing the Roadglide? They're going to redesign it? Well, of course, everybody's reaction right away would be like, well, dude, Harley's going to screw it up, and let me get one all I can before they screw it up, and they take a run on the 2013s, and a lot of people did. Well, they were afraid that Harley was going to screw the pooch, so to speak, whenever it came to redesigning the new fairing. And I'll tell you something, they actually hit it out of the park is what they did. I mean, it's not often that the motor company could really make it exceed everybody's expectations, but with this one, they really did, okay? They took a year, they took over 1,000 hours in a wind tunnel, and they came back with the best damn option for a shark nose fairing you could imagine. You've got 3 different vent systems on this one, okay? You've got the one here in the top center, okay, and it's got a nice little closure, okay? The ones on either side of the headlight, okay? And you can see over here on the right side, you can see the light come over and close. That's because you can actually reach over and close those, each one independently. So you've got 3 different vent systems that were able to continue until the new 2020 models that just recently came out. And you could close and open those independently of one another. And how that was designed to work was actually the wind was going to come through and redirect the direction of the wind that's coming towards you. So you're using the wind to battle the wind. Now also in 2015, you got a lot of other options with the bike. You got the Rushmore project installed as far as speaker boxes in there, so you got much better sound quality, the single hand bag openings, and then one of the bigger things too is you got that bigger front end. Okay, they went in 2013 before you went with the Rushmore project. They had a 39 millimeter front fork, or a 41 millimeter. I'm sorry, the 41 millimeter front fork tube. And then by the next time that you saw the bagger or the touring class, they were all the way up to a 49 millimeter front fork tube, a much bigger piston. All right, a lot more fluid, and it's going to be a lot more difficult for it to dampen that way. So you lost a lot of the Harley-Davidson dive on the front end whenever it came that way. But that's step 2 in the evolution of the bagger. Now you didn't see anything hugely dramatic until 2017, but what you got then was, and then of course 2017, Milwaukee 8 motor. Oh yeah, a lot of performance, a lot less vibration, a lot less heat, really tackling all the issues that Harley had with the bagger. Because I mean, let's face it, if you're gonna really go out there and turn some miles, if you haven't been listening to anything that I've been saying right now, get behind that shark nose fairing. It's really, in my opinion, one of the better ways to go. And the only issue that Harley really had with it was the motor was hot. I mean, it was an air-cooled, traditional air-cooled motor. The Milwaukee 8 has got a chin radiator system to it right here, okay, down on the front end of the bike. And what that is actually a modified oil cooler. It goes over through the crossover of the heads up on the top of the Milwaukee 8 on the 4 valves to be able to cool it at its source. So they definitely were really able to cool that motor down and be able to give you the potential for bigger builds and to make really impressive machines. They also had a bending spar dual cartridge system on the front end. Basically, it was a really, really fancy mechanism with spare chambers in it to make it handle like an inverted front fork. A really great step in the right direction. Definitely better than the 49 millimeters from the past generation, and really helped, again, with the performance and the handling of that motorcycle. So you got a better motor, and you got a much better front end. But what you've really got is a perfect platform. Enter the Roadthug. Oh yeah, that's right. With a good enough canvas, okay, with a great building platform, like the Milwaukee 8, the new framework, the bigger front fork tubes, gives you the ability to build an amazing machine, okay? And well, the Roadthug really carries that on, okay? The motor company came out with 131 cubic inch upgrade available, okay? So what did the guys here at Southern Gold do? 131 cubic inch motor there. You're talking unbelievable performance and torque. And the motor is rideable. That's the best part, is it's a rideable machine. Now, a lot of the times whenever you see it, and anybody who see my videos will hear me talk about the big wheel baggers, okay? The Roadthug is a big wheel bagger, but in a different way than what you would expect. Let me show you something really neat. You hear me talk about tire size all the time, okay? Because a lot of people look at the tire size as an opportunity to express their individual personality or something like that, and that's fine. If you want to put a 21, a 26, or even a 32-inch front wheel, that is your business, and a lot of people think it looks really cool. I personally am all about ride, okay? I want to be able to make sure that I can drag the floorboards to the turn on that damn son of a gun and just drop it down into it, and it's going to be there for me. I don't want any wobbling whenever you're out and about, and whenever you have taller, lengthier front wheels, you have a potential to be able to mess up the ride. Now, the touring class always traditionally had a 130/18 on it, okay? It was a nice fat meaty tire on it, okay? Not too small, so you can really keep a good track and trail as you're going down the road. And then in 2014, well, they jumped to a 130/19, okay? At that point, a lot of people were starting to do the 21s and the bigger front tires and stuff. And what the motor company's goal was really to do is to try and dissuade people from doing those big, taller tires, to be able to not affect the ride of the machine, okay? Well, a lot of people have heard me talk about it, and we're gonna go into it a little bit more detail, okay? Right over here, all right, we're gonna see the traditional fall-away front end, okay? That's what you're gonna see on Softails, what you're gonna see on Dynas, what you're gonna see on most metric motorcycles, okay? You're gonna see right there, all right, if you look at it, that it's a triangle there, okay? And the neck is actually here, and the fork tubes are up, okay? You can see it. So that's a fall-away front end. You let go of the handlebars, she falls to the side. But here, center drive front end, okay? This is the center drive front end system that they use in the touring class. Now, if you notice, you're gonna look, you see where that neck bolt is there? Okay, the fork tubes now aren't in front, okay? The fork tubes are gonna come back, and the neck bolt actually positions forward. So what that does is, if you were to pull that bike off of the wheels total, like on a center stand or something, you take the wheel, you turn it, it's gonna come true with it a turn and a half. Okay, and that's going to affect the handling dramatically. Now, if you go any bigger than a 21-inch front wheel, then guess what? That front end gets negated, okay, because you have to turn it into a fall-away front end, and then you're taking the best riding front end in the industry, okay, and you're turning it into, well, something unstable or just a typical fall-away. And what's the point of having a touring class bike that rides better than anything else if you're just going to turn it into a Softail? Which brings us back to the Roadthug. Okay, the Roadthug, they've gone the total different direction than a lot of other people are. Okay, the Native Customs people are the one who put together this front end, and that's the one the guys here at Southern Gold have really choose to make this bike shine with, because again, 131 cubic inch motor, performance and handling are important. Now this one here, you've got a fat 180/18 on the front. Now remember, the older model had a 130/18, the second generation had 130/19, and now we've gone back up to the fatter 180/18. Okay, so you're gonna have a shorter, stockier, fatter front end to it, roughly about the same size tire as what you have on the rear. Now, instead of having that big 21 profile that you have on everything, that fat front tire actually improves the handling. You're not going to get that front end wobble. You're going to have a nice meaty, grippy front end on it, and the thing, she just rolls absolutely around, and it doesn't negate the center drive front end. That's the important part, okay? The center drive front end is the secret behind a Harley touring class ride, okay? You tell people this all the time. It's almost like whenever you see a guy on like a ZX14 sport bike, just an absolutely fastest bike you can see out on the road, and he's got a set of Oakleys on and a hat backwards. Well, you look at him and you're like, well, that's a guy who likes his bike, but he obviously doesn't ride it to its potential, because, well, you can't see through a set of Oakleys at 140 miles an hour, which is what that bike is totally capable of. So, you know, it's about making sure you can get the most out of your machine. And we got a 131 cubic inch motor. You don't want to have anything going sketchy out there at high speeds. I mean, I'm not going to say how fast it'll go, but dear God, she will absolutely light it up. Now, in 2006, Harley-Davidson came out with the Street Glide. Okay, and the timing was absolutely perfect, because it was right on the heels of the decline of the chopper fad. You know, everybody was going crazy on the choppers. Orange County was huge. Jesse James's West Coast was just blowing through the roof. Everybody made a name for themselves, but what they made was amazing, badass looking motorcycles, but they weren't something that you could ride any length of period of time. A lot of these were hardtails. Some of them are very, very small suspension at best. And a lot of people were tired of spending the money on a bike that was really, really badass, but not anything you could go for any long hauls, much less carry a passenger along with you or any amenities. So 2006, Harley brought out the Street Glide, and it changed the game for everybody. Okay, suddenly you had a stripped down bagger that didn't have the box on it and all the other kind of stuff on it. It was a customizable machine that rode. Okay, it rode out really nice. It was comfortable, and you could actually put a passenger on the back of it, and they weren't praying for your death inside of 30 miles. So it really made a huge difference. Now, by 2007, okay, the Street Glide was the #1 selling bike on the planet. And by 2012, 13 at the latest, every other manufacturer out there had a version of the Street Glide, basically a stripped down bagger. Now, the reason why I bring that up on a Roadglide themed show is plain and simply put, I think it's responsible for the popularity of the Roadglide that's been growing lately, because people are tired of seeing a Street Glide every corner. Okay, everybody's got a Street Glide. It's been the most popular bike on the planet for some time now, so it's hard to set your Street Glide apart from everybody else. So people are accidentally discovering the benefits of the Roadglide. Now, I personally have always liked the Roadglide. I told you that story about Brett back in the day, and whenever it comes to a bagger, I've always found them to be the best ride on the market. Now, everybody else is finding out themselves. Now, if you think the evolution of the Roadglide from, you know, the older fairing to the newer redesigned fairing is impressive, then you ought to check out the new stuff on the actual Roadthug. The front end makes a huge difference, and of course the performance. Anytime you're going to get a 131 cubic inch motor, we're talking 140 horsepower going to the rear wheel. I mean, you're just going to see the most blistering performance ever. You know, whether you're out there winding the back roads and just really enjoying some quality time with your girl on the back, whether you're just getting out and getting away from everybody and being by yourself and just chilling with your favorite tunes, or you're going out and you're just blistering down the highway, the Roadglide can do it all, absolutely all of it. You know, it's nice to see the popularity of the Roadglide and even what's on the horizon. You'll see in a lot of people now that are starting to make the purpose-built style bikes out of these. And by purpose-built, I mean you're seeing a lot of West Coast style dynas, bikes that are going to be lifted up, you know, and more durable, something that you can really beat on a little bit, you know, doing wheelies, you know, dropping the floorboards and putting foot pegs on it. You know, that's all what we're seeing in the future. Hell, even the next Roadthug, we're talking about doing something very similar to that, you know. Stop dragging the bags and getting it so you can't pull a good turn on it and make it so you can do burnouts and wheelies. I mean, hey, just because they weigh almost 1,000 pounds doesn't mean we can't put them up on one wheel, right? Well, guys, look, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. The Roadglides have always been one of my favorites. And well, if you have any questions on anything, please hit us up in the comments. And well, if you have any questions on the Roadthug or anything else that you're seeing here on any of the recent spotlights, hit my boys up at Southern Gold. And well, we'll see you out on the road.